Good morning, YouTube. It is September 17th. Hey, I know those people. I'm doing an about face. I'm going to say hi to my neighbors. What's up?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good.
Hey.
Out with the dogs.
Man.
I'm just heading
Got
out to the.
three of the 8.
What now?
Got 3 of the 8 of them.
Oh Jesus! No, I'm heading out to the bar in North Phoenix to get my equipment. I'm usually way too hammered to pack it up at the end of the night.
Let's go back and get it, huh?
Yeah, well, they've got a deal at Bullock's where they got a breakfast plate for $2. I get 2 of them and I'm full for the day.
Shit.
Yeah,
$2.
it's. I mean, it's nothing great, but it's like two eggs, however you want it. 2 eggs, slice of toast, like a cheap deep fried like hash brown patty, and 2 slices of bacon.
It's still good. I mean,
What you want for $2?
I just paid $7 at Danny's Brass Rail, which is still good. And $10
Right.
for burrito. But
God, remember when Brass Rail was like $3 for
yeah,
breakfast?
remember, yeah.
For the same breakfast?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't know how they keep.
$7 now.
They only do it between 11 and 12, so I gotta hurry up if I'm getting there. But
Yeah.
hey, I thought you guys were coming out on Tuesday.
When?
My new show up in Scottsdale.
You said you're going to remind me.
I sure did, and you made sure I had your number, and I didn't. I'm sorry. I'll text you this week because it'll be better this week. They shut it down kind of early. They made it stop at.
So I get out at work at
10:30.
9, so I went to Yellow.
Okay, yeah, it starts at 8. Yeah, it would have sucked. You'd have got there in time for it to shut down.
What
But
time's it shut down at?
well, it's supposed to shut down at midnight, but they shut me down at 10:30.
Yeah, sometimes I get out at 8, 8:30. It depends.
I mean, it's still a little far from here, but it's straight up the 101.
Where is
So
it at?
it's 101 in Frank Lloyd Wright.
All right. Well, that's not there.
Yeah, I totally said I would text you, and I forgot. I'm sorry.
We're only a block apart. It's the same.
Yeah, I forget which one is your.
Yellow one.
Okay.
The one half painted.
It's been a while, and it used to always be like I'd look for the one with the truck and the scooters.
Yeah.
So
Now it's whatever, the Lincoln now.
and the cat would always come out and say hi. Anyway, I better get flying so I don't miss my breakfast.
All right, man, yeah, remind me.
But yeah, it's good seeing you, Donnie.
Same here.
Later.
All right, then, bye-bye.
Well, that was random and cool. So that guy. Met him at I think at Castaways. And he's used to come to my show at Castaways all the time because, of course, that's just right around the corner from here. Oh my God, I'm all congested. I think she's cute. All right, I have no focus today. I hope this is not a precursor to what my day is going to be like. Still need to wake up. It's good seeing those guys though. So yeah, I met Donnie V. He's come in and sing at Castaways, and since then he's gone to several of my other shows. He's part of what is kind of a dying breed of karaoke singer that used to kind of be a karaoke cliche back in the 90s, and somewhere around the early 2000s they all either died or just kind of grew out of it, or went away, whatever. But back in the 90s, and those who did karaoke in the 90s probably remember this, in bars. Why is this guy on the left side of the road? You're on the wrong side of the road, dude. Oh my gosh, and here comes somebody. Yeah, I'm just gonna give him a whole lot of space. Wow. I'm gonna make a bad driver compilation one of these days. I I always say I don't know anything about how to use video editing software, and my vlog would kind of suggest that. But that's kind of stretching the truth a little bit. I'm not good at using video editing software. But on my last Windows XP machine, which has been dead for almost 3 years now, and yes, I was still using Windows XP about 3 years ago. Recently found a Windows XP subreddit, although I've browsed it a little bit and I'm not really connecting with anybody in there. But it's good to know it exists. Anyway, on my last Windows XP machine, I've mentioned several times that I use Wondershare AllMyTube as a YouTube downloader. Now, there's no shortage of free YouTube downloaders, but I just found that many of them are buggy. Many of them come with just more ads that I want to deal with, or they come with come bundled with spyware that I don't want to deal with. I've had a couple times where as a result of a YouTube downloader and some bullshit that was installed with it, I ended up completely having to wipe and restart the computer that I'd installed it on. So Wondershare is not particularly expensive. Oh, and the other thing I've noticed with some of the free YouTube downloaders is that they as soon as YouTube changes something or other streaming websites change something, suddenly they're broken. And it's not to say that this doesn't occasionally happen with Wondershare AllMyTube, because the reality is, if a streaming website changes the way they stream to a way that the downloading software can't cope with, or isn't programmed to deal with, obviously it's not going to work. That doesn't mean the software is not good, but at that point it is obsoleted, so it is broken. But the difference between a lot of these free, ad-based ones or bundled spyware ones and Wondershare, beyond the obvious if there's no bullshit bundled with Wondershare, is that there's actually a software team at Wondershare that is on top of that. And as soon as something changes, they're working on updating it to fix it. And that update usually comes fast. I'm kind of notorious for not updating software as quickly as I can. I'm kind of from the old school of computers, in which all about backwards compatibility, don't update it until it's broken, kind of thing. I mean, for God's sake, I'm still running Winamp 2.91 by choice. So, and I've got several other old versions of software that I deliberately run that particular old version, just because I'm familiar with it. It does everything I need it to do, and it uses less resources than a newer version would. Yeah, Wondershare I always update as soon as there's an update for it, and that's because 90% of the time that update is to do with changes in streaming sites to kind of continue to work, or to continue to do what it does, because what it needs to do is the way it's done is constantly evolving. So anyway, I wasn't going to talk about Wondershare. How the hell did I get on this subject? Anyway, oh yeah, because I was talking about me in video editing, and that car went in front of me and was driving on the wrong side of the road. So so anyway, after a couple of free YouTube downloaders, one of them I actually liked until it stopped working, and then a couple of bad experiences with them. The worst one being a computer that just got infested with spyware and just had to be completely redone, which wasted a lot of time. I ran into Wondershare AllMyTube and really liked it. I mean, the interface is okay. I'm not fond of I'm not fond of software that creates their own typographical window and doesn't just use the regular, interface. The only obvious exception being old school Winamp. But yeah, there are some softwares that are like that I've decided that I like in spite of that, and Wondershare On My Tube is definitely one of them. I could go on at length of things I don't like about it, but the thing that I definitely liked about it when I got it was, holy crap, this works. And it does have a lot of nifty features that other programs that I've used for downloading from streaming sites don't have. Like, you can keep everything in a queue, and you can go back through it, and it actually keeps a log of where the video came from, in a way that you can open it and copy and paste the URL, or you can directly go to the URL. That's a feature I really like. It's got conversion utilities. I don't use them. I have way better conversion utilities. In fact, I think I was able to not install that. It doesn't have a lot of installation options for customization, but it's got some. Anyway, all in all, good software. I got it. I liked it. It worked. It had some features that the freebie programs didn't have. Well, I wonder what's causing all this congestion on the right. This is not normal. I need to start getting over. Anyway, so use it for a while. I actually still use it to this day, but I had been using it for a while, and I got this. There's my chance to get over. I had got this. I periodically get emails from them, and definitely in their defense, they're not one of those software companies where you sign up for updates and you just get spammed to death. But they do occasionally send some emails out, and one of them offered a substantial discount on their video editor. Oh, by the way, yeah, I back up a couple steps. So, yeah, when I got it, I liked it. I used it, the Wondershare On My Tube. And I rarely pay to register software. I just come from an era of yeah, there's loads of great freeware. So why do I want to pay for that? and I have yet to do the current thing of subscription-based software. F that. Where you're just leasing the use of the software. That seems to be the current business model with a lot of the major software companies, particularly Adobe, looking at you. Yeah, no. I'll pay for something. I should own it. I'm not paying to use something that I paid that I bought. No, not down with that at all. Anyway, the Wondershare On My Tube was quite functional. Just using the demo version. It did have some limitations. I don't remember what they were, but it was enough that I liked it, and I was like, you know what? $30 is not too much for this. Not when they're talking about the level of support that's supposed to come with it, and yeah, what the hell? I feel like this is a good enough software. I should support it with $30. $30 is not going to break me. It's certainly added $30 worth of value to my life at that point. Anyway, so yeah, on doing that, I signed up for notices from them, and it'd been quite a while I've been using it, and I got a notice offering their video editor, which looked a little less intimidating than other video editors I'd seen advertised, and I kind of looked at some screenshots and looked at stuff it could do, and looked at most importantly, I looked at what system resources it needed to run on, because I'm forever been notorious for using outdated and low resource computers. And it's not that I haven't been in places where I can afford a new or more powerful computer. It just strikes me as something I shouldn't spend money on, and I feel like I'm doing a good thing environmentally by taking unwanted computers and making them useful. It's like, I don't need the latest and the greatest. I can do good things with old stuff. And that kind of started for me being a kid that just had no in a poor family that really wanted a computer and couldn't really afford a computer. And when Texas Instruments jumped out of the computer industry, the home computer industry, and we're talking like early 80s, and the TI-99 4As suddenly were heavily discounted everywhere. Suddenly my parents saw a computer that they could afford to buy me, and were attentive enough to notice that it was one of the types of computers that I had mentioned that I liked using. My school, I was very fortunate to grow up in a school district that had a lot of had a lot of money, a lot of money donated by oil companies and energy companies in eastern Wyoming. And in addition to, I don't think they were hurting for school tax dollars either. And so yeah, we had a lot of different types of computers at that time, and that was one that I mentioned that I enjoyed using as a kid. I just really liked it that it had really impressive color graphics and sound for its time. And when I'm saying for its time, we were using TRS-80, Radio Shack TRS-80 Model 1s and Model 3s, which were black and white, damn near text only, except for some blocky graphics, and the limitation of its sound was just beeps. So, compared to that, the TI-99 4A had amazing color graphics and sound. And for those that are into old computers, you kind of got to admit, for its time period, for early 80s, the TI did have impressive color graphics and sound, and it was unlike other computers of that era. It was very user accessible for somebody who wanted to program in BASIC, and then if you got their extended BASIC, you had a lot more control. In fact, I think it was the only computer at that time where you could use a version of BASIC and actually do really impressive animated sprites, like a video game type sprites. So yeah, my folks got me one of those when they were super cheap, and of course it immediately was like, oh, I have a super obsolete computer, but I did stuff with it. I mean, it worked. So anyway, all these years later, I'm just, and I tend to run equipment, as long as I can. So I'm back to having. Anyway, so I'm looking at the, what's it take to run this video editing software? Because video editing software is notoriously resource hungry, and the minimum system requirements for the Wondershare video editor were surprisingly low. And I'm like, wow, this will run on a much lesser machine than what I have. It actually runs in Windows XP. Yeah, let's get this. And Wondershare has since become Filmora. I'm pretty sure it still exists. I bought that a long time ago, heavily discounted. Like, I don't remember what I paid for it, but it was like nothing. I want to say $15, maybe $20, maybe 10. I don't know. Whatever it was heavily discounted. It was kind of like, hey, you already own one of our software products, so buy another one at 50% of its already low price. Yeah, this looks good. Get it. And I never got particularly proficient with it, but I do know how to use it. I do know how to use it enough that, I could cobble together a nice compilation of snippets from my vlogs of bad Phoenix drivers. And that's something I do want to do. It's not my highest priority thing, obviously. Obviously, I need to focus on doing things that make money until I can get myself, whole financially. But yeah, it's something I'd like to do. I think it'd be a fun addition to this YouTube channel. I don't want to do that on the computer I host with. I think I've always tried to have, like, I've been down to one computer for longer than I have been in a long time, and definitely the longest I have been since I've been hosting karaoke. And I definitely want to get back to the point where I have one that is used for at home and creating and doing stuff, and get one that's just for karaoke hosting. And at this point, I feel like they both need to be new computers. There's one, ooh, somebody lost their bumper cover. Thanks. Yeah, the one I host with is kind of starting to show its age, and it's showing its age in two ways. One, it's showing its age just because when you're dealing with internet stuff, that moves on, like it or not. Backwards compatibility on the internet isn't what it used to be, and the internet related stuff are becoming really resource hungry for the computer. So there's that, and then the other thing is just it's been so long since I built that it's just starting to show the kind of software issues that you have with a computer that's just been in use and changed and updated and in use and changed and updated for many years, and in some ways probably not the best way it could have been done. So, because I'm by no means an expert. So yeah, it's anyway, yeah. So and as far as for something at home, obviously I'm going towards video editing, and I just, I got a 4K TV at home. I should get something that can actually build something that can actually handle 4K instead of, yeah. So anyway, gosh, I was going to talk about so many things on the way up here. Main thing I wanted to talk about was like my show last night, but I'm already at Bullock's and it is breakfast time, so I am going to sign off for now, go get me something to eat. But yeah, I will soon talk about how the show was last night, because last night's show was definitely a memorable one, for the good things that happened and the bad things that happened. It's also oh gosh, what was I gonna say? It was also I want to talk more about my friends that I stopped and talked to, because they're very interesting people, and yeah, as I was mentioning, Donnie used to be one of those that actually would go into karaoke bars and do almost nothing but Elvis, and he occasionally still has those nights. That used to be a karaoke cliche. It used to kind of be its own karaoke genre, and it's sadly not anymore, because Elvis has just become such a cultural part of the distant past, and at this point 30-somethings just don't, 30-somethings, and I would say even 40-somethings are not old enough to remember how much of a cultural phenomenon Elvis was. I mean, here I am, I'm 51, I'm barely old enough to remember what a cultural phenomenon Elvis Presley was, but I do very, very distinctly, all these years later, remember exactly where I was when I heard that Elvis Presley died. And I remember exactly what I was doing the day that Elvis Presley died. And as a little kid, just loved Elvis Presley. Everything about Elvis Presley. Loved his music, loved his records, loved his movies. Obviously, that was fostered by my parents. Grew up, listening to Elvis. And my stepfather is like one of the biggest Elvis fans I've ever met. And he's just got a whole display case just full of awesome Elvis memorabilia. But anyway, Donnie showed me pictures later, and then I realized I'd seen a picture of him in a karaoke store where they had this wall of pictures of Elvis imitators that were customers to the karaoke show, and he had one up there. But he showed me a picture, and back in the day when being an Elvis imitator could be a full-time job if you were good at it, and you could dress up and look like the king in any of his eras. And of course he was doing like glitzy, sequiny 70s Elvis. But man, he had the look and had the sound, and that was what he did for a living in the 70s, or not the 70s, but like the 80s, even into the 90s, complete with the full bushy mutton chops and the outfit and everything. Good stuff. Like that guy, he's freaking awesome. Anyway, I gotta wrap this up. I gotta get my breakfast before it's too late. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll start getting these things uploaded. I'm so backlogged. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe and all that fun YouTube stuff.